A long, long time ago, thousands of years ago, there was a Gaelic warrior. And the Gaelic warrior's name was Oisín. And there was a story told about Oisín. And the story told about Oisín was a story to warn us, to warn the people of today about the digital prison being built around us. There's a digital prison being built around us. And thousands of years ago, in Gaelic mythology, Oisín, the story about Oisín, this incredible Gaelic warrior, the story about him was told to warn you of today, to warn you about the digital prison being built all around you. Now stop, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to retell this story, because in Oisín's honour, because Oisín would have wanted the people of today to hear this story and to hear the warning. And I will retell the story in Oisín's honour. Now, let's begin. So, you wake up. What do? Recall this morning when you woke up. What did you do? What was the first thing you did? You reach over for the phone. You grab the phone and you look at the phone and you scroll. Or you play a game. Or you go to TikTok and you scroll. And before you know it, if there is an alarm going off where you have to be somewhere like a work, if there's an alarm going off, an hour goes by, 2 hours goes by, it feels like 5 minutes. And 2 hours have gone by. And what have you achieved? Well, in the real world, now you might have got a pretty high score in that game. You might have scrolling through, seen interesting reels. Maybe you saw something funny. But what have you achieved in the real world? You might have had plans for today. You might want to build something incredible. You may just want to connect with your family. You may have just wanted to go out and experience the outside, but you're still in bed. Or maybe you're going to bed. Think about back when the last time you went to bed. Is it possible before you go to sleep that you scroll, that you play that game? Well, this is the warning. This is the warning that Gaelic mythology tells us about. There's a story of Oisín and Tír. And Tír was the land of the youth, where you never grew old, where 3 hours felt like a minute, where time stood still, where you could never grow old, you could never make a mistake, you could never do anything negative, nothing that really mattered at least. You never had problems, you never made a mistake. This is the land of Tír that Oisín went to. Now the story is that Oisín saw Niamh with the long golden hair on a white horse, and she galloped her white horse in across the sea, and Oisín saw her and he fell in love, and he got in the back of Niamh's beautiful white horse and went to the land of Tír. And in the land of Tír, you could never grow old. Time stood still. You could never do anything wrong. You could never make a mistake. You could never fail. In the land of Tír, you never fail. It's a land of beauty, the land of youth, the land where you always stay young. The land where you don't have to worry about what the peanut gallery is saying about you. The land where you never, ever can fail. And he was there for a long, long time. 300 years is what the Gaelic story says. And by the way, I'm just doing this by memory. So whatever I get wrong, because I live in the real world and sometimes I fail, sometimes I can say things wrong. I'm telling the story as I remember it. So when I fail and when I'm wrong, tell me in the comments, because I want to live in the real world. Tell me in the comments where I go wrong. It's absolutely fine. And the story is that he stayed in the land of Tír na Nog for 300 years. But he got lonely. He wanted to reconnect with the Fianna that he left in Ireland. And he took Niamh's white horse and he rode back to Ireland on the white horse over the sea. And when he got back to Ireland, he galloped around and took it in. Then he saw three men trying to lift a large stone. And Oisín was strong. Physically and mentally. And he saw these three men trying to lift a large stone and he decided to help them. This is the Irish way. At least it was. Where someone was stuck on the side of the road. Numerous people would stop for them. Today I think we think, oh, he probably has a mobile phone, he'll be alright. But this was always the Irish way. And Oisín was no different. He stopped by the three men and decided to help them lift a large stone. But he was told before he left Tír na Nog that if he touches Irish soil, it's been 300 years, and if he touches Irish soil, he will age. And so he grabbed the stone without touching the soil and tried to help the men lift the stone. And he slipped and fell onto Irish soil. And as he fell, he aged 300 years within seconds. The white horse disappeared. And he realised that he was back in Ireland. He had built nothing. He had no connection with the Fianna anymore. And he had aged. He had no children. He had no legacy. He had built nothing in Ireland. And he never stayed to protect Ireland. And he built nothing here. And he had aged. And he died a withered old man with huge regrets. And that is the story of Tír na Nog. That is the story of Tír na Nog as I remember it. And what that story tells us, what that story warns us of, is living in our own digital Tír na Nog, where we can never really make a mistake, where we can never do anything that will badly negatively affect us. We may play a computer game and get shot, but we just respawn again. Or we may scroll through TikTok watching what other people have done, what other people have created. But we never ever create for ourselves. We never ever build for ourselves. We never ever be that Irish warrior connected to the Fianna, connected to the Gaelic, connected to the Tuatha Dé Danann. We never do what we're supposed to do. And because we don't do anything, because we never do what we're supposed to do, we can never fail. We can never fail within Tír na Nog. But in the real world, you can fail. And the story of Nuada tells us that we fail and we get back up again. We get back up again. And we go again. Every time we get knocked down, we get back up again. That's the story of Nuada. And Oisín tells us, be careful. Be careful about staying in the land of Tír na Nog, where you can never do anything wrong. But you can also never build. You can also never have children. You can also never build a legacy. And what the story of Tír na Nog tells us, is Oisín didn't lose money. He didn't lose himself. He lost time. And time is so precious. Time is, anyone who has ever had small kids knows that time is precious. They change, they grow so quickly. Time is precious. And if you waste money, You could, let's say, win the lottery and have €1,000,000 or two, whatever you get in the lottery these days. I've no idea, I don't play it. You could maybe win the lottery of millions of euro. And you could waste all that. You could just go to Las Vegas and waste it all. And you could always get a chance to make that money back. Let's say you run a business and you make a lot of money, you lose all that money. Business goes bad, you lose all that money. You always have an opportunity to make that money back. But if you lose time, that time is gone forever. And this is particularly important with small children. If you lose that time of their childhood, that time is never ever coming back. It's never coming back. So Oisín, the land of Tír and Óg, tells us about the importance of time. Tells us our time is valuable. We should know the value of time. And these old Gaelic mythology stories were not for children. They were not tales for children. I know a lot of the German mythology was Hollywoodized, was made, put into, everyone had a happy ending, and it was made for children. It got the Hollywood treatment. Most of the Irish mythology never did. Never did. A lot of them have very, very sad endings, but they're a warning, and they're not stories for children. These are warnings for men. This Gaelic mythology, it's a warning for men. It's not a children's story. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. You can tell these stories to your children. You can read it to them. But they're warnings. They're warnings. They're just as relevant for men as they are for children. They are warnings. And this is the land of Tír and Óg. Now, you may have noticed that, yes, the land of Tír and Óg has some overlap with the story of Peter Pan. They are not the same story. They're very, very different stories, but some of the warnings are the same. Peter Pan is a child's story, but parts of it can be very, very dark. Parts of it can be very, very dark. And it's the same with Gaelic mythology. They're not sugar-coated stories. They're warnings. They're warnings about the digital prison we are building. It's being built around us, but also we're building around ourselves. We're building around, and don't get me wrong, technology is beautiful. I'm creating this video on my phone right now. I researched it on my computer. I work online. I spend maybe 10 hours a day on the computer. Now I make sure I get out for a walk. I make sure I get into nature. I make sure I connect with my children. I make sure I connect with my family. But I spend a lot of time on the computer. So I'm not telling people that, hey, first of all, I'm perfect. I'm just saying that these are warnings. I'm not saying ignore all technology. We don't have to ignore all technology. But we've got to know how to use it. And we've got to know how valuable our time is. So the land of Tír and Óg, the land of Tír and Óg was a seductive world where we were told that we will never age, where we'll never have consequences, where we'll always be the hero. And when the beautiful Niamh with the long golden hair came in across the sea on her horse, and Oisín fell in love and went to the land of Tír and Óg. He had this was seductive. He was seduced into the land of Tír and Óg. And it's exactly the same for us. We're seduced into scrolling on TikTok, these incredible algorithms that people have spent so much time to build a profile on you, to know exactly what you want to see. This game where you're always the hero. You're always the hero, and if you die, you'll respawn back in again. The dopamine, the incredible hit of dopamine. Don't get me wrong, dopamine can be a beautiful thing. Let's all feel good all the time. But I think that's a good thing. But see, these hits of dopamine that are seducing us in, that's a thing. This is the land of Tír and Óg. This is the dopamine. This is the dopamine loop that we get all the time. This is the simulated life, the pretend life. This is the pretend achievement. This is what Niamh, the beautiful Niamh, offered Oisín. And he was seduced into it. But what he didn't realise is, for the story for Oisín is that it felt like he was there 3 years, and 3 centuries had gone by. And I think we can all identify with this when we think we've been there for 3 minutes and 3 hours have gone by. 3 hours have gone by. We're like, where did that time go? What did I do? What did I do during that time? I literally cannot remember. Where did that time go? And some of us, when children are growing up and the teenagers, maybe they have a lot of time. Maybe they have time to fill up. Let them fill it up. But once you become a man, you don't have that time. You have a purpose. You have something to do, and you should be going after your purpose. That doesn't mean never play a game. That doesn't mean never scroll on TikTok or watch a YouTube video. That means you dedicate time to your purpose. You dedicate time to the 10 minutes of meditation you have to do. You dedicate time to following your excitement. Dedicate time to that. And this is what the Oisín and Tír story tells us. And the importance of this story is Oisín didn't lose years. Oisín didn't lose years. He lost continuity. He lost connection with the land, with his own land. He lost connection with his people. He lost his connection with his people, the Fianna, his tribe. He lost his legacy, his children that he could have had, that he could have taught to be great Gaelic warriors. But he didn't. He didn't have time to do that. He lost the legacy of what he could have built in Ireland, how he could have improved Ireland, how he could have made Ireland better. He lost that legacy. And this is the Tír story. Because the truth about Gaelic men, is that a Gaelic man that has never been broken, a Gaelic man that has never been attacked, a Gaelic man that has never gone through difficult things. There's a story, the Shawshank Redemption. And the big story of the Shawshank Redemption, many things, but one of them is that he managed to dig out of the prison. But in order to get out of his prison, he needed to pull himself through miles and miles of storage pipes. Now, I don't want to tell you, I don't want to say it in the video. You can imagine it clearly now, what was in those storage pipes. So he had to pull himself through miles and miles of this storage pipes in order to get to freedom. That's the story of the Shawshank Redemption. And that's also, I'm sorry to say, the story of the Gaelic man. The Gaelic man who hasn't been broken, can't be trusted, and can't trust himself. Can't trust himself. That's when I see all these online attacks against people. I know they're being forged. They're being forged through pain. And pain and suffering is what forges. I wish you never to have to go through pain. I wish you never have to go through suffering. But if you do, and many of us do, if you do, just know you are being forged. And the ones of us that go through the most difficult pain, like Niamh, the ones of us that go through the most difficult pain, the most painful moments, they are the best of us. They are the best of us, because you do not get trials that you are not capable of getting through. Now, whether you get through them or not, that's another thing. But you are not given trials that we're not capable of going through. So the ones of us that are given the most difficult trials, they are the strongest of us, the best of us. Freedom means nothing. And this is, a lot of Americans will tell you this, that freedom means nothing without responsibility. Responsibility just means the ability to respond, the power to respond, the inner strength to respond. Responsibility. Freedom is nothing without responsibility. We are sold by the digital prison and by the governments that we can have freedom without responsibility. So, this is the seductive nature of the digital prison. We can have freedom without responsibility. We can't. We need to take responsibility in order to have freedom. And the digital prison, the seductive digital prison, tells us we can die and respawn. We can, whatever happens, there's no consequence. You are always free. You will never age. Take it from me, you will age. So this is not, I'm not telling you to go get your smartphone and smash it. I'm not saying that. Keep your smartphone. I'm not saying don't use technology. I'm not saying let's be like the Amish, although I have a lot of respect for the Amish. I'm not saying let's be like the Amish. I'm saying know how to use technology. Don't fall into destructive prison. So, to give you an example, a calculator. A calculator can be a really useful thing at times. But you should be able to do the math in your head also. You should be able to, as kids growing up now, they can't do the math in their head. They can't add up, they can't divide, they can't multiply. And spell checker is a beautiful thing. If you know how to spell words and you know what a noun and a verb and everything else is. So you need to know that. You need to understand. But then use it. Absolutely use it. And use AI. I'm not saying don't use AI either. AI can be a very, very useful thing. I use it for I don't have time to be making thumbnails. So I just put it into AI and AI makes a thumbnail for me. And it's like 30 seconds. I just don't have time to do it. And I would prefer to do it myself. But I just don't have time. So use it all. Use AI. But use it in a way. Use it in a way that it's making you smarter, not making you dumber. Use it in a way that's making you smarter. So I'm not saying don't use any of these things. I'm saying use them. But you need to be in charge. You need to be in charge, and mostly you need to be in charge of your time. That's the most important thing, and you need to know the value of your time. So we can go into simulated world, but what I'm saying is, for today, choose the real over the simulated. Be real. Be yourself. Be real. Even if it's imperfect. Even if you don't have all the filters on when you're really yourself. Be real. Choose to be real instead of being simulated. Choose to touch the ground. Touch the ground. We're getting such beautiful warm days now. Why not walk in bare feet on the beach or on the grass and get that real, those real, beautiful connection with the goddess Eru, yourself. So choose the real over the simulated. So this is about you. This whole thing is about you. Remember Oisín. Remember the story of Oisín. Remember. And it's all about you. It's all about you remembering who you are. You remembering your power. You remembering that you can look through 40-foot tall eyes of the Tuatha De Danann. You remembering you have that inner strength. You remembering that you have a connection to the goddess, or a direct connection to the goddess. And you can look through those 40-foot tall eyes and feel the power, and you are powerful. You are powerful. And it's about you remembering that. You remembering who you are. You have the spirit of the Gael. You have the direct connection to Tuatha De Danann. Remember who you are, Gaelic man. It's been Alan here. Tá ar lá an seo agus pobal amháin.